Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in again. Today I'm going to be doing something a bit different. One of you guys commented on one of my older videos, which I think was about applying to university and A-level advice. And you asked me to do a video on my advice for doing A-level art, so that's what I'm doing today. And I believe it was Tanya Mercado. I will put it, like, your comment right there. And I thought I would try and give you my honest tips on doing art A-level. I don't feel like I'm prepared to do like tutorials because I feel like it's been a while since I've like properly done art, because I'm currently studying architecture at university. I will be doing a video on my first year all about that soon, so look out for that. So I thought I'd just kind of talk you through my advice. And obviously bear in mind that this varies from school to school and from exam board to exam board. I'm not sure how A-levels have changed now, so yes, hopefully this is useful to you. I know that like October half term is just finishing, so hopefully it's not too late for me to be getting this video out to you. I'm gonna first of all do like my general advice, and then the second part will be more like portfolio advice. And bear in mind that all of my art stuff is at home back in London, so I don't really have any access to it. I will kind of put up pictures of any digital stuff I do have lying around. I think I've got quite a lot, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I also do have like a portfolio I applied to a university with, and I got in with that one, so it's online, and I'll put a link to it as well. Yes, so let's get started. I'm going to start off with general things. The first thing I would say is that it really helps if you're genuinely passionate about art. If it's not for you, I don't recommend that you do it, because more often than not it's very heavily coursework based, so you know, you really have to have like the drive to want to do it, like possibly like every waking moment. I know I was constantly doing art on a daily basis, and I was really lucky because at my sixth form we had every lesson every day, so I was constantly engaging with my teachers and in my subject, whereas I know sometimes you might have it a couple of times a week at different institutes. So if you can do a little bit every day, it really does help. And don't slack on the weekends either. Just kind of keep up with it, because you know it will, as coursework always does, it can easily kind of catch up on you. So doing a little bit every day is really important. Another tip I have is do not compare yourself to others. I don't feel like I'm actually, you know, that talented in certain areas of art. I definitely have insecurities about some things I'm not as great as other people at, but at the end of the day, everyone is different, and you need to just kind of find your strength and hone in on that. So don't compare yourself to others, because at the end of the day, comparison is the thief of joy, and you're not the same as that other person. Some people are just, you know, naturally really skilled at some things, and you might be better at some things than they are at others. So that would be the one thing I would say. Just don't compare yourself. Like, kind of keep your own focus on your own work. It's fine to like admire other people's work and compliment them, but just don't let it keep you down or stop you from doing things. One thing I'd love to stress is quality over quantity. It's really important that you are trying to get as much output as you can and show like your development, because it's very rare that they just want to see like a final thing. They love to see the process of how you were thinking and like the behind the scenes of how you got to like wear a final piece or a final like image or painting or whatever it is like, it's really important that you kind of show your development and how you got to that stage. And it's really important that you focus on the quality, like work on the things properly. Don't rush things. Try and take your time, do things with care, like really care about it, because you know at the end of the day it's all about time, and it's better that you spend a little bit longer doing something properly than making something that's not so great that you won't get great marks on, and then trying to have to replicate that or rush it, because I feel like it kind of snowballs towards the end. So try and keep on top of everything and focus on the quality of your work, because that's really interesting and important, and that's something the examiner will pick up on is how good your work is in terms of its quality. I did touch on development before, but yeah, development's so important. It's like one of the most important things, because that's kind of what your sketchbook is all about. And that was my favourite part of doing art, was my sketchbook and showing like my thinking process. I loved kind of mapping it all down. It was my favourite thing to do. I loved my sketchbook more than like any of the final pieces I usually ever made. And like, you know, it's really important to look at different artists, like be inspired by so many things. It doesn't matter, you know, put it in, have a reference, primary sources, secondary sources, constantly allow yourself to be inspired, you know, actively engage in your subject, go to exhibitions, go to installations, go to shows, go to events, like just even online, Pinterest, find things that interest you and relate to your theme, and just kind of keep engaged in the subject. That's so important, and that also will tie into the second part of this video, which is, you know, in terms of like your portfolio and going to interviews, like showing that you're engaged in the subject beyond just the curriculum is really important. Another thing that I will stress on, even though I was talking about development and your sketchbook, it is important to think about that final piece, and can you actually make and commit to that final piece, and will it be a really good final piece? Because that's something I definitely struggled with, and I feel like that probably did like let me down a little bit. I have talked about how my A-level results were slightly a bit screwed up, so I'll link that video down below. But I will say that art is the subject that I spent the most amount of time on out of all my other subjects. I kind of absolutely gave my all to art, and it's really important that all of the stuff that you're giving, like you can produce a really decent final piece in the end. I got really experimental, which is really good and really important. Experimentation is so good, and they love to see that. But it's important that you can actually, you know, make and produce something that's really good at the end, because I feel like that kind of shows and is the pinnacle of all of the stuff that went behind it. So even though your sketchbook work might carry like a higher percentage, it is important that you have a good, decent, working final piece in the end. Yes, I definitely think that's really important. Stick to things that you know and you can trust your skills in, as I was saying before, in terms of comparing yourself to people. I feel like one thing, as an example, is painting. I'm really not that great at painting. I mean, I possibly could be, but I feel like I need lots of time. I've never really ever painted before in my life properly, and in AS we had to do a painting in the style of Jenny Savile, and I was terrified, and it really just took me so long to get it right. And I feel like it wasn't perfect. I did mess up something in the end, which I can correct, but I will put a picture up of it now. It was my brother, in the style of Jenny Savile. And I spent so long on that, like more in comparison to my other classmates, because I'd never really painted before. But I feel like it just goes to show that even though it wasn't my strongest thing, even though it took me a longer time, like I can get there in the end. But at the same time, it did show me that painting probably wasn't something I should aim for in terms of a final piece or like pursue, because it wasn't one of my strongest skill sets. And I feel like I really found myself in the second year of doing my A-levels in terms of more 3D work and ceramics, and that's something I really, really fell in love with. And I think that's something that was one of my skill sets. And like installations, that was more what I was geared to do. So if you can like find what you're good at and hone in on that and really exploit that, that was good. And if you can find it earlier on, even better. But as long as you get there, that's really important. Yeah, work hard, have fun, enjoy yourself. You know, I really, really miss doing art. Like, it was so free and liberating, and you can kind of almost get away with anything that you want. And I feel like it's important that you do communicate and, you know, touch base with your teachers as often as you can. And even if it's like lunchtime or break time, and they might find you slightly annoying, at least they know you're engaged and you want to do well. So that's what I'd say. Like at lunchtimes, you'd find me in the art department. I feel like that probably did bug one of my friends at Abbey quite a lot, because I wasn't always around, but I also did get ill during my A-levels, so I felt like I had to kind of catch up. But I did talk all about that in my other video, which again I will link below. So now I'm going to talk about applying and like your portfolio. I did different kinds of portfolios. It depends to where you apply. The one I'm going to show you, I applied to Oxford Brookes to do architecture, which I got into. And bear in mind, even though this is about art or fine art in general, I did apply to do architecture, so it's slightly different, and obviously the things I applied with did lean a bit more towards a kind of like buildings and things like that. But at the same time, I did apply to like arts universities, which I'm currently at. I go to Norwich University of the Arts, so they did appreciate kind of more of the traditional artistic things in my portfolio. I do like to work on a big scale, so when I took my physical portfolio, it was A1, I think. Yeah, it was A1, so it was massive. It was difficult to carry and lug around to all my different interviews, but it displayed my work quite well. Unfortunately, I don't have that, and it's kind of been taken apart a little bit, so I can't show you that, but I will show you my one that I had to make for Oxford Brookes. I think it's mnsbelle.carbonmade.com. That's what we had to use to submit to them. And I submitted that along with my personal statement, and I got in. I think what helped my portfolio was that, for example, I wanted to do architecture. I had done work experience, and I put evidence of that in my portfolio. So if you've got any relevant experience in the subject that you're applying for, and you can put it and document it in your portfolio, I definitely recommend that you do. As well as that, I went to other workshops linked to architecture, and I put that in my portfolio as well, which I really think helped me in the second year. I think I had more free range in what I wanted to do, so I focused more of my work on architecture, and we even had to write an essay. And I'm not sure if everyone has to write an essay at A-level art, but I did. We had to make it into a book, and I need to get that for you. Oh, actually, it's right here. Basically, we had a really great teacher. She actually went to my university, and she helped us kind of use InDesign and a blurb plugin to create a book. This is my book that I made. It was an essay that we turned into a book, and my essay question was, how can the organization of space and the subsequent atmosphere created make us feel? And there it is. And I will obviously show you the inside. A 3,000 word essay. That wasn't very good. I'll do like cutaways. It was a 3,000 word essay, and I got it made, and I took it to my interviews, which was great because I think they do like to see a piece piece of written work, and the fact that I'd used InDesign shows another skill in terms of the computer, and I produced a book, I think really helped me, because it wasn't just something printed out, like I'd made a book. So I think that really was a good thing for me. And things like life drawing, I really miss life drawing. I loved the way they did it at my sixth form. It was honestly one of the best things. And as I said, you know, drawing like in a more like traditional and hyper realistic way just isn't really my thing, and I did struggle in the first few weeks of it. I really hated it because I did compare myself to others, and I just felt like I just wasn't good enough. But eventually I got into it, and I personally feel I'm proud of some of the images I made, and I'm really happy with some of the output I got out of it. So I definitely recommend life drawing. If that's one thing you do, life drawing, it's really an amazing thing to see. They even encouraged me to do it on my course, even though I'm doing architecture. So yes, I would definitely say try and do some life drawing. It's honestly one of the best things you can do. I really think that you should consider the layout of your portfolio. Make sure you talk to your teachers, get their advice on everything. Make sure it's clearly annotated. Make sure you read the guidelines of wherever you're applying to, how they like the portfolio. Some of them don't like plastic wallets, some of them do. Sometimes you won't be present in the room, so make sure everything's really clearly annotated and titled so that they can read it and go through it without necessarily having you there to explain everything to them. And I think it's really important to start well and end well. So like their first impression is great as well as their last one with you, and it's really important to get the right balance of what you're putting in to your portfolio. Don't put too much and also don't put too little. And again, look at the guidelines that they give you, because they will give you guidelines for what they like to see. I think that's about it in terms of my advice for A-level. Art, I guess. I did fine art, and also I feel like there's kind of art and design. I think one last thing is try and be immersive in all the medias if you can, you know, draw things, sketch things, take pictures, paint things, like even if it's just little experiments. Like I said, you know, I'm not the best at painting, but I did little experiments of painting different medias. Like they loved mixed media, showing like versatility and how you can use so many different things is really important at the end of the day. But I think it's really important for you to kind of have your own individuality and your own passions and let that show through. I think, you know, art is just an extension of yourself, and I think that's really important that you let that shine through at the end of the day. And try not to forget about context and meaning to your work. I personally struggle to create work if it doesn't have meaning, so I find that that's something really important for me. But I think everything in art, usually with objectives, there's always has to be some substance to it. They'll give you like objectives, like you have to have certain themes that you draw on. But yes, I've done various pieces and I'll try and put them up now. I've put some on Instagram, but I think I'm most happy with my ceramic pieces that I made in my last year, and I really should try and keep up with fine art again. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to touch on, if you'd like me to make any more videos like this. I did French and history as well, and then I did English as AS, but then I dropped that. So if you want videos on those as well, feel free to let me know and give me any more video suggestions below. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any more questions, pop them in the comment section below and I'll try my best to answer them. And yes, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time with another video. Bye!